and I'm here with Antonia Clark, and I'm just going to ask Antonia to share a little bit about her experience coming to the U.S. Where were you from originally?
Well, originally I'm from England, but we were actually living in Scotland for 6 years before we came to the US.
In Scotland, but you consider yourself...
I consider myself English.
That's right, okay. And what was it that brought you here to the US?
Well, my husband got a job teaching at Friends University. He's a university lecturer, so that's where we came.
I see. Was this something that he had done in Europe as well?
Yes, he went back to school at the age of 40 and did a doctorate, and then was trying to become a university lecturer, but his subject areas, theology and philosophy, are much more minority subjects over there, so it's actually much harder to get started on the ladder. So a lot of people who want to get into that career come to America for a few years just to get that first step on the ladder.
I see. So you moved here with your husband and your 3 kids, and they are?
Tom, Jamie and Hannah. At the time they were 9, 6 and 2. They're now 14, 11 and 7. So we've been here almost exactly 5 years.
So the older 2 really remember their experience?
Yes, they do.
Yeah, that's neat.
The younger one doesn't.
Do you guys visit often?
Visit England?
Yes.
Well, we've been back 3 summers out of 5. Originally we thought we'd go back maybe every other summer, but we kind of did 2 summers in a row. So.
I see. So how has that, I don't know, going back and forth between the 2 countries, how does that make you feel about either one? Does it change your perspective any?
I think at first I thought it would be really hard to do that, and therefore it would be better maybe not to go back in the summer. But I think in a way we've just adjusted over time to the idea that we kind of have 2 homes, we have 2 families, not 2 families, 2 countries, that our family are in England, we have a lot of friends here, and we have a community here, but we just have 2 lives, and it really does feel like that. And I struggled against that for a while, but I've kind of come to accept that that's just how it is. And you do definitely see your own country in a different way for having been away.
In a good way? Or?
I guess you're a little more critical, things that you just used to take as the way things are, you begin to see as not necessarily the way things have to be. English people can be really negative, and American people are so full of optimism and enthusiasm and the can-do attitude that Americans are famous for. And I think I used to think that was all a bit kind of naive, that it's a bit childlike, you can live your dreams, whereas we kind of know that sometimes your dreams don't work out. But when you go back to England, everybody is so negative, everybody's very much bound up in, they don't dream possibilities quite so much, I would say. So I find that kind of negative. People seem very sort of not so positive as here.
So you can really see the idea of the American dream here in America, where people...
I can, but I can also see that it is a bit of a myth. People, for every one person who starts their own business and becomes a millionaire, there is a huge number of people who start their own business and crash, or who start their own business and work 24/7 for years, if not decades, and that's just their life. And then, do you know what I mean? I mean, there is a dream there, and I think that optimism is really healthy, but I think maybe the British realism has something to offer as well.
So I'm going to kind of switch gears here. After being here in America for a while, what would you say are some of the positives and negatives about America that you've noticed?
Well, certainly in the Midwest, we found people to be very friendly and pleasant and kind and generous. I don't know if that's true throughout the whole of America. I know that is Midwest character.
Resisting the urge to make a comment about New York. And
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've visited the East Coast and the West Coast, and I can see it's really several countries within a country, America. I mean, it's a very easy place to live, Wichita. You can drive everywhere, you can park everywhere, you're not too bothered by the weather because it's all kind of taken care of with heating and air conditioning. I think some of the negatives are, you know, it can be quite materialistic just because your standard of living is better than in England, I would say. So, you know, people have so much stuff in their big houses, and in England we have small houses and we don't have so much stuff, but life works just as well. I don't have, you know, 35 different Christmas decorations to choose from. I have 5 or 10, but that's fine. And so I think there is a materialism. What else? And I think English people are more connected with nature, and they're more connected with the land, and I think that's really important. I think that's something you miss here because you know, we are part of creation, we are part of nature, and I think to be divorced from that emotionally is an impoverishment.
Mm-hmm. So you talked a little bit about the English people having less things and not so materialistic. Can you kind of describe your basic, I don't know, the area you lived in?
Well, I think it's just all on a smaller scale. You know, there are more of us in a smaller country. There are 60 million Brits in an area not much bigger than Kansas. So people have small houses, people have small cars. And on a daily basis, the frustrations are that, you know, if you go anywhere, you have to allow extra time to park because you'll be cruising around looking for a parking space. Or you'll be paying in a parking lot, and then you have to have the right change to put in the machine. And so there's sort of daily frustrations. If you want something at the back of your refrigerator, you kind of have to unpack your whole refrigerator. But I think, you know, those things are very small. I think we value things more. You know, that the way towns and cities grow up is much more planned. People really protect their green spaces. People, you know, developers can't just buy a piece of land and stick whatever they like on it. They have to be very careful. It all has to go through planning committees, and, you know, trees are valued, and just open spaces, and how the development will impact the whole community is really thought about. And so I think, you know, we have less space, we have maybe less material goods, but we value them more.
Mm. Yeah, that's interesting. Right. So do you see yourselves staying here in the U.S., or do you anticipate going home, you know, someday?
We're going to go home.
Yeah.
We're going to go home.
Yeah.
Because all our family are there. You know, we don't really... I think of this as home, and I'm definitely settled here, and I'm happy to be here, but I kind of don't want to die here.
Yeah.
I sometimes think about that. I think, you know, I don't want my funeral to be here. I don't want my ashes to be scattered here, and I don't want my children to be different to me. I think that's a really hard thing to explain, but somehow they will be different if they are American. And, you know, it's just at a really deep emotional level. I want my family unit to be, I want them to understand who they are, and I guess if we stayed here they would be just a bit different to me, and somehow I don't really want that.
I guess to have to speak for your kids, do they, I guess the youngest probably definitely, but the older two, do they consider themselves more American, or is home for them?
Well, that's one thing that's really surprised me, that I thought, you know, kids like to be like the other kids, there's huge peer group pressure, and I thought they would just want to be American, and Tony and I had discussed that, my husband and I had discussed that before we came, and we decided that would be okay. You know, they had to find their own way, and but in fact that hasn't happened. The older two still have an accent. If you talk to them, they don't sound American, and they, particularly my middle child, they feel very connected